Hello, good evening everyone. It's your friendly neighborhood Archbishop here with a deck list for one of the strongest decks that I've been playing lately, which is the Inner Circle Bleed and Vote deck. It's not by any means unique, but it's very strong, very easy to play, and reasonably cheap to assemble. So whenever possible, I will list where you can get the cards for this, because for the most part they are in print currently, so it shouldn't be hard if you want to assemble this for yourself. So the basic idea of the deck is to get some big vampires out there that have very strong passive abilities and a very strong selection of disciplines, as well as many votes, and villain them down, get them back up with Voltaire's Captivation, and keep the pressure on your prey. So the crypt, there are a few different ways that you can use this. The way I do it is with 4 copies of Adenet's Fawcett, which is the Bruja in the circle that can play Majesties for free. 2 copies of Good Old Lutz, which is an accelerator, because when your prey burns 1 pool after the referendum of a political action passes, regardless of you calling it or not. So you can usually do this is not the first guide that you bring, but you can usually have 2 or 3 actions passing very easily, and that is extra damage that keeps the pressure building. 2 copies of Dimitra Ilanova, the Bruja Justicar, that her main purpose here is to be able to call a referendum each turn to distribute blood back to your guys. She only has basic obfuscates, the one vampire in the crypt that has this problem, which is something that you have to watch out for. But otherwise she has the presence and the celerity to play the other tricks of the deck. And finally, 4 copies of Rafael de Corazon, the Toreador Inner Circle. He bleeds for 3 naturally. He has all the disciplines we need. It's a very strong lad. There is a good argument to be made to play 3 copies of Dimitra, but I only have 2, so that's what I'm playing. Now, for the library, let's start with the masters. You have you will notice that some of my cards are in Portuguese because I am Brazilian, so that's expected. I have 6 copies of Villain to get your dudes down because they are big and expensive. So Villain for 5, Voltaire cap after passing a vote by 5 million, get them back to full. Villain again. 1 Monastery of Shadows, because permanent stealth is a very strong effect. 1 Creep Show Casino for your political actions. 2 Dreams of the Sphinx for the hand size. The acceleration is hardly ever played in this deck, but the hand size always helps. 2 copies of Information Highway to accelerate the big guys, and 5 copies of Zilla's Valleys. They are easy to get these days because they come in the Reigns of Stanislava Precon, and which is the 25th anniversary edition deck, and in the La Sombra Precon, the Parliament of Shadows. I believe that Info Highway is also in the Stanislava deck. The Dreams of the Sphinx is in the Malkavian 5th edition deck and in the Stanislava deck. Creep Show is in the Toreador in Tribute Precon. Monastery is probably in the Anthology, and V-lanes are everywhere, I guess. Now, quickly going back to the crypt, I believe that the entire crypt is in the Keepers of Tradition bundles. I believe you will need 2 bundles to get the 4 files, but that's pretty much it. It's 2 bundles, you get your crypt. Now, for the actions, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of Flurry of Action. This card is kinda hard to get in my local area because a lot of people play unnamed, but might be easier for you to find on eBay than it was for me. This is a very strong bleeds card for celerity. It's on the basic level. If the bleed works, you draw 2 cards and discard down afterwards, which is great. But in the superior, you bleed, and if the bleed works, your vampire untaps. So this is the main engine. You bleed first with Raphael, bleed for 3, untaps, and play political action. It's very simple, very straightforward, very strong. For combat, we have 9 Majesties, remembering always that Adana the Bruja inner circle plays them for free. It's just to unlock. You are not going to be bouncing bleeds, and you are not going to be trying to block many things, but if people rush you, this is your defense. It's not great, but you can't have everything. Now for the bulk of the deck are the political actions. What we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 KRCs, kind resource contested. It's your main source of damage after the blades with the Flurry of Action. I play 2 banishments, 1 Unseal Empowerment and 1 Anarch Uprising to punish Winnies, 1 Ancient Influence, 1 Reigns of Power, and 1 Political Stranglehold. All of these cards are very easy to get. They are mostly on the La Sombra precon, and these last 3, but the others one should be on the 1 or 2 copies of the Ventru V5 deck should get you going. I have a few older ones, but that's because that's what I have in my collection. And now for the action modifiers is where you have some freedom to exchange the cards. I have 1 copy of Awe because this is a very hard card to get, but you don't actually need it in the deck. It's just that sometimes you want to make a vote pass by a lot, so you can voter cap someone that is low to full. So this helps. I only have 1. If I had more, I would play more. I have 4 Elder Impersonations to fail the blocks of walls that are hugging too much intercept. 3 copies of Faceless Knight, which is great is a great finisher. After someone tries to block, you play this to keep it locked. 7 copies of Volter's Captivation. This is in the Ventru deck and the Toreador V5 deck, I believe. All of your guys have superior presence, so you play this to keep them full. 5 copies of Into Thin Air. Remember that you do not replace this until your untap phase. I always forget. But it's Sheep, Bloodless, +2 Stealth. I have 1 Scalpel Tongue for a trick. 5 Bewitching Orations to make sure I have enough votes to voters cap people to full. You can, if your friends don't play a lot of votes, you can reduce this number and put more stealth in it or more KRCs. I have 3 Spying Missions for when my bleeds are bounced and I am about to kill my Grand Prey. Now, for the past few cards, there's a few options that you have. I'm playing 3 Perfect Paragon. This is not a lot of value for the effect. If I had more Awes, I would put the Awes here. The last 4 cards are 2 Swallowed by the Night into Globe the Gathering, but this is because I don't have the Forgotten Labyrinth card. If I had, those 4 would be there. Would be that. If you have Forgotten Labyrinth, great, use 4. If not, 2 Swallows and 2 Cloaks will be fine for most things. It's important that they are different so you can just stack them on top of each other. So overall, there is, aside from the Awe and the Forgotten Labyrinth, there is nothing that is really hard to get this, keep this deck going. It's very strong, it wins very easily, it can sweep the table like there's no one's business. I will put a link to a match that I played on Lucky with this deck recently. And we'll also put the entire deck list on VDB so you can check it out for yourself and try to assemble it more easily. Hope you have a great time. Bye bye.